Howdy, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Texish, the show about some things Texas.
And some things not.
We've got a great episode in store for you today, but before we get to any of that, as always, we have to do your favorite segment.
And ours.
Our not sponsors.
Who's our first not sponsor?
Tito's and Shiner. Gonna be an all-nighter. And I just might find her at the Whataburger line. Dance halls and women. But man, I'm wishing that I was fishing by the river tonight in Texas.
Our first not sponsor for today's episode of Texish is Bear Performance Nutrition. Bear Performance Nutrition. Is that a heart rate monitor I see? Bear Performance Nutrition.
Are you on steroids, but you pretend like you're just taking Bear Performance Nutrition? Bear Performance Nutrition.
Is somebody a hybrid athlete? Bear Performance Nutrition.
You're just doing this an excuse to get fat and still run.
Bear Performance Nutrition. It's like an affliction t-shirt if it was supplements.
Bear Performance Nutrition. It's basically the rhinestone jeans of supplements.
Bear Performance Nutrition. If Ed Hardy and Buckle made a baby and it was supplements, it would be Bear Performance Nutrition. Shaving heads and making you look a little bit bigger since 2016. Bear Performance Nutrition.
Each order of protein powder comes with your very own Bowie knife. Bear Performance Nutrition.
Stock any carbon fiber suits not included. Who's our other not sponsor?
Our other not.
Link in bio for discount on your BPM products on my Instagram, by the way.
Gunner is an ambassador.
Anyway, who's our other not sponsor?
Our other not sponsor is football. Football! It's America's favorite concussive pastime. It's football. I think I played, but I don't really remember due to all the concussions. Football!
Making theater kids kick field goals since 1983.
Football! Are you a fat, overweight gentleman watching other people perform tasks that you used to do?
Football. It's literally gladiators killing each other just in modern times where it's apparently bad to kill each other.
Football. It's show tunes for straight dudes. It's football.
It's what a bunch of 40-year-old men talk about when they get together, even though none of them played past the high school level.
Football. Hey, the guy on the TV can't hear you. It's football.
He's talking to our dad.
Football. It's football.
It's football. What happened one time in Texas history?
Once upon a time. I held that note because I had to pull up my phone and look it up. On September 19th, 1961, NASA announced Houston as the site selected for the Manned Spacecraft Center. The location for the new center was 25 miles southeast of downtown Houston on the north shore of Clear Lake. And we've been there.
We have been there. Does it say, why did they choose Houston? Was it because there was enough space to blow things up and not hit people? It
seems to be because like Lyndon B. Johnson is ultimately like who it's named after. Kennedy gave an address to say that's where it would be put, right?
Okay.
And as far as I can tell, it was basically they put it in Texas because it was big enough. It was
as far as land
mass goes,
right?
And we could get enough money there.
Yeah.
Like there were enough donors, there was enough like tax incentive.
Yeah. Do you think there was also a fuel aspect to that? Like
maybe
like there's a lot of energy plants in Houston.
I mean, this was the NASA website, so it wasn't going to tell me exactly why.
Is the NASA website as grotesque and old as all other .gov websites? Like
it's actually worse than a lot of them. Yeah. It's like
that's wild.
So it kind of looks like a MySpace front page. Even what it looks like
Top astronauts.
It looks kind of like if you were going to apply to a job at like a plumbing site.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like that. Now, I'm sure that the actual NASA scientists have their own, private login with like a slick website because that's what they do.
Yeah.
But NASA is also one of the most grossly underfunded administrations in the government.
Well, I mean, we haven't sent someone to the moon in so long because it costs so much, right? Or did we not?
It costs an insane amount of money.
Did we not go there because there's nothing to do? Like once we got there, was it like, oh?
From what I understand and all the movies I've watched, and by the way, I don't understand anything. We go to the moon to advance like human science, right? Okay. Like they're already pushing for, can we do this? How do we do this?
Yeah.
And, as you go through these processes of how do you keep a man safe in space. You discover better ways of like of like clothing that can, insulate you, right?
Yeah.
Like Gore-Tex and those things. Like, you discover various ways to dehydrate food.
Okay.
You discover, how to make fuel more efficient. You know, all of these little things.
Nothing that's absolutely necessary, but nice to do.
But nice to do. And it's, pushes human society forward, I guess, I suppose.
Does it?
And it is funny when you go back and you look, because it's like Kennedy gives this big speech about how we are going to put the first man on the moon.
Yeah.
Which we ultimately did do. It sparked the space race.
Wait, I thought Russia did beat us there.
They beat us to space.
Space. Okay.
And so they beat us in everything except getting a man on the moon.
Because steroids won't get you to the moon.
Correct.
Blood doping only works.
Blood doping only gets you out of the stratosphere, as it turns out.
It doesn't actually get you
you to the moon.
Yeah, it gets you a lot of gold medals. But
yeah, so that's whenever Houston became synonymous with space travel.
Yeah. Oh, because Houston, we have a problem.
Houston, we have a problem.
When there's no problem, do they say, Houston, we have no problem?
I think they just go, hey, Houston, what's up?
What? Hey, guys.
Hey, guys.
How's Dorkville down there? Two things. One, it is weird that we were taught so much about waxing and waning crescents with the like we're taught so much about the moon as kids, but the Civil War was not about slavery. Like we learned that in the same classroom.
I mean, I don't know what you learned. I was taught that it was.
Your teacher was different.
My teacher must have been a little different.
She went off script.
She must have gone off script.
Ours was like slavery was involved, but it was mostly about states' rights.
See, I remember it being taught like Lincoln and who wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin? Harry Beecher Stowe, is that her name? I can't.
I'm not.
Gosh, I'm gonna get ripped for this.
Yeah, let them rip.
Anyway, so I remember all the talk around that being basically all of these cultural forces had come to a head, and basically the North was in a position where they had to make a choice on slavery. And so though, you can logically look at it and say the war was over states' rights, what was that right?
It was the right
to
one
own.
specific.
It was a very specific
Anyway,
right.
my point is...
What was your point?
My point was I learned a lot more about the moon
than you did slavery?
than I did slavery. And I think that's a little weird. It's a little weird. With the moon.
It's a little weird. In fairness, the moon is older.
Anyway,
so yeah, that is
second thing was, we all grow up, I'm going to be an astronaut.
Right.
Turns out you got to be like an
doctor.
IRS nerd.
Like you got to be super smart.
Yeah, you have to have like 5 degrees.
It's insane.
Yeah, I thought it was just you have to be able to tolerate gravity.
My favorite part is that they put all these really smart people in a centrifuge.
It's pretty fun.
And make them throw up.
My favorite part is they put America's smartest people in a rocket. And it's a 50-50 chance that we don't kill them.
Oh, I think
Can't we just get someone from 7-Eleven and put them in there?
In the early days, it was like, you're going to die.
It was like 90.
Hey, man.
Dude, those first 5 had to know. They had to know.
They had to know. They'd be like, this isn't going to work out. They must have been like, you know what? The rest of my life is in shambles. I might as well go down.
I'm sure their thoughts were if this works, not when this works.
Yeah.
Running a small business is incredibly hard when you have no idea how to market it or brand it clearly. Small business owners, small business operators across the country work so hard to make products and services that they are proud of, but almost always hit a plateau in growth. That's why Creators Collective is here to help. For years, we have helped businesses triple, quadruple, even 5 times their revenue by creating branding and marketing content that clarifies your brand and drives sales. So if you are at a bottleneck or at a plateau, trying to grow your small business, even stay in business, make sure to visit creatorscollective.us right now. Schedule a call so we can find out what services you need, how we can work with you, and make sure that we can boost your bottom line so that you can grow as a business. Anyway, who's our small town of the week?
So we actually... I'll tell you right now, it is Rhome, Texas.
Rome or Rhone?
Rhome.
So not the apparel brand, Rhome, Texas.
Not the apparel brand.
Okay, cool.
So Rhome, Texas. We had a fan write in and tell us that he loved to listen to the podcast.
Aw.
And he's a younger man. He's a younger gentleman. He's still in school. And he was like, I'm from Rome, Texas, and love listening to you guys.
Oh, so this is not someone we know.
No, this is not somebody we know. This is just somebody who found the Instagram page. I will shout out him, Ethan Tillery. Ethan Tillery, thank you so much for listening.
Thanks,
we are going to talk about your hometown.
Send us your address.
Rome, Texas.
Yeah,
we will.
Texas.
So it's in Wise County, Texas, population 1,630.
Okay, not tiny, but small.
You keep saying these are not tiny. That's pretty tiny, man.
I mean, it's like tiny, but not like...
I mean, like what?
I mean, it's small. But
I'm going to go back to the record and see the last couple that you've looked up, and they're all going to be over 10,000.
No way.
Oh, for sure. I'm going to check it. I'm going to check it.
The
You know what?
motorhome?
I'm going to check the receipts.
Well,
okay, the motorhome one was
Yeah,
that was good.
yeah,
That was good.
exactly.
That was good.
I think under 1,000 is tiny. Over
Okay.
1,000 is small.
Fair enough. Admittedly,
It doesn't matter.
it's small town of the week. I'm just saying the last two that we've done, you've been like, well, that's not small.
I'm not saying it's not small. I'm just not saying it's the smallest. Tell me more about Rhome, Texas.
I don't know if I want to now.
Fine, don't say it. Our Texas Badass of the Week. Just walk over this fan's town that they submit.
Win in Rome.
When in Rome, do as the Texans do. What? Tell me about Rhome, Texas.
So Rome, Texas, admittedly, there's not a lot about it.
Well,
It's got a big memorial park with 12 plaques honoring American service personnel from the wars fought since 1917.
Okay.
And a Cold War plaque at Veterans Memorial Park. And that seems to be the biggest thing about Rome. And I'm very disappointed that it doesn't have a picture of like a Coliseum.
is there not? I mean, because Paris,
'Cause why
Texas
wouldn't you? They
has
have a little-
has
they have
a
like a
little
little
thing.
thing.
Is there not a little leaning tower of?
It
or
does
a
not seem so.
Coliseum?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually kind of appreciate that because those towns. No, really,
Because they're just like, you know what?
like Paris, Texas is like, maybe if we put one here, people will think they're in France. Are you kidding me? Like, we know we're not in France. Just chill with this stuff. Or like,
You give anybody enough drugs.
that's true. That's true. Or like towns that are also called New York have like a little Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey,
I mean, they have to.
do they? I you know what? I respect Rome, Texas for being like, instead of all this kitschy
I love the
stuff,
silent H.
the what?
The silent H in Rome, Texas.
There's a silent
Rhome.
H.
It's
Oh,
RH.
it's Rhome.
Rhome.
I wonder if that's from when someone said, like, what should we name this town? The guy was like, home.
Mm-hmm. And then they
were
just
like,
wrote it. They're like, oh, I'm going to write the R.
Yeah, they just, anyway. Awesome. Well, do you want to hear about our Texas Badass of the Week?
Tell us about our Texas Badass of the Week.
It's probably the only time I'll ever do this because I hate basketball. I think it's
Okay.
the dumbest sport ever. I don't get why people appreciate it so much. Like,
That's
oh,
really
this
funny.
shit. I just don't, I've never
Is
understood
it because you're bad at it?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't think it is, but it really
might
could.
be.
It's like as soon as like I'm somewhat coordinated, but as soon as you give me a basketball,
Of the two, you're the athletic one. So like,
yeah. As soon as I have a basketball, it's like I'm the fourth of the three blind mice.
Yeah.
Like I'm so blind and dumb, I can't even be a part of the three blind mice. It's the
just no spatial
Dude,
awareness.
it's as soon as you give me a basketball, I'm like, should I kick it?
And as
I
bad
don't
as
know.
you are, I'm worse.
Yeah, it's
and
pretty-
And it was so disappointing because I wanted to be Michael Jordan more than anything
You
else.
loved Michael Jordan.
Loved
Space Jam
Michael
was-
Jordan. It was the...
You know
anyway.
what? Maybe it is because I'm not good at it.
Maybe.
And it seems like everybody I know has a somewhat decent,
Well, admittedly, where we were from, basketball was not the sport.
not the sport.
Not the sport at all.
But like I'm so bad that I actually tried to beat my wife in one-on-one and she like
Decimated you.
like completely destroyed
you.
me.
Yeah.
So bad. I don't get it.
Well, if your wife used to play soccer, which if you think about it is basketball for white people.
And every other country in the world. Anyway, so our badass of the week though is a pretty famous basketball player. I just looked up like best basketball players from Texas thinking it was going to be Kevin Durant. But ranked.com, which seems legitimate to me,
Dude, yeah.
ranked Jimmy Butler as the number one basketball player from Texas. Butler was born in Houston on September 14th, 1989. His father abandoned the family when Butler was an infant. By the time he was 13 years old and living in the Houston suburb of Tomball, his mother kicked him out of the house. As Butler remembers it in a 2011 interview, she told him, "I don't like the look of you. You got to go." He then bounced between the homes of various friends, staying for a few weeks at a time, moving to another house. Despite all of this, Butler maintains a close relationship with his parents, saying, "I don't hold grudges. I still talk to my family, my mom, my father. We love each other. That's never going to change." In a summer basketball league before his senior year at Tomball High School, he was noticed by Jordan Leslie, a freshman football and basketball player at the school who challenged him to a three-point shooting contest. The two immediately became best friends, and Butler began staying at Leslie's house. Although his friend's mother and stepfather, who had 6 other children between them, were reluctant at first, they took him in within a few months. Butler would later say, "They accepted me into their family, and it wasn't because of basketball. She, Michelle Lambert, Leslie's mother, was just very loving. She just did stuff like that. I couldn't believe it." As a junior at Tomball High School, Butler averaged 10 points per game. As a senior and team captain in 2006 to 2007, Butler averaged 20 points and 8.7 rebounds per game and was subsequently voted his team's most valuable player. Butler was not heavily recruited out of high school and chose to attend Tyler Junior College in Tyler, Texas. So yeah, mad respect to Jimmy Butler, ranked.com's number one basketball player from Texas of all time. He's played for a couple teams.
Yeah.
Don't know what he's won. but he's good.
There you go.
He's,
Rank.com.
He is good at basketball, according to
Rank.com.
Yeah, like
So,
and I mean, to me, scoring 20 points a game would be really hard.
that'd be scoring 1 point a game.
Yeah, scoring a
So I went my entire, pre like school sports.
Yeah.
I can't remember like Boys and Girls Club or whatever it was.
Yeah. Andrews County
Rec League.
Yeah.
So that basketball league, I played 3 years.
Yeah.
And I scored one. No, I didn't score any points in a game.
Oh, really?
I never scored 1 point in a game ever. So that is the one sport that I went my entire career.
Just nothing. Nada.
And so I think after that last, like, hey, you're about to go to school and like you could join I was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I clearly will not be able to play this.
I was captain of the 7th grade C team.
Yeah.
And just to put that in perspective, there's a legitimate A and B team.
Yeah.
All through middle school. There's the A team, the B team. The C team is all the linemen from football and all the dorks who can't play sports anyway.
Right.
And me.
Is that the only time in your life you've ever been like the worst at something?
Yeah. And the thing I was trying.
Right.
And we didn't play anybody. The C team just had to go to the basketball, like the other basketball court. Like
this is how bad I was.
We were on the carpet basketball court. You remember those?
Yeah, I do. I remember the carpet basketball
those
court.
things suck.
Dude, you would like skin your knee.
Yeah, you would fall and just like get rash all over your arm.
So I think you actually went to like the big Bobby Knight clinic at one point.
But only because I didn't ask for that.
Right. That's just like what you did.
Yeah.
Because we were like, mom is a Raider and it was a thing. And you're
Bobby Knight.
We'll have to do him one day.
Dude, tell you, I got one Bobby Knight story then.
So I remember going to the high school clinic. So that's like pre Bobby Knight clinic.
Yeah.
You got to pass the high school clinic to make sure that you can actually move on. And I just remember like, I wanted to play basketball so bad. And like, I tried so hard. And at one point the coaches just kind of like took me away from everybody else. And they were like, here, you're going to practice dribbling with 2 hands for the rest of the, and everybody else is doing stuff.
Everyone else is moving.
Everybody else is moving. And they're like, you need to learn how to bounce the ball right.
And just bounce the ball.
And I don't think I ever did.
That's wild. Yeah, mom went to the Raider place, Texas Tech. That's the school.
That's the school.
And my best friend growing up, Hunter from a town over, him and his mom and my mom were friends. He was going to the Bobby Knight basketball. We're 8 years old.
Yeah.
If that. Go to the Bobby Knight clinic. Mom decides we should go too, so she can hang out in Lubbock. I can hang out with Hunter. Yeah. Hunter goes on to be 6'7", by the way, and amazing at basketball. His choice was basketball at Angelo State or football at Tech. He chose football, but like,
sure, there you go.
He was in the right place.
Yeah. He was where he was supposed to be.
This was the last time I ever played basketball. But Bobby Knight, the clinic starts and all the parents are there, but there's the schedule, I guess, was Bobby Knight's going to address the parents and the parents have to leave.
Yeah.
Bobby Knight famously cussed a lot and had a temper. And he was talking, and at one point he says, I promise all you parents, I'm not going to cuss. I will be a good influence on your kids. Anyway, have a good day. Parents clear out. As soon as the door shuts, like as soon as all the parents are out, bleep this out. Bobby Knight looks around and goes, that was a f***ing lie. Get the f*** to work. And it's like 8-year-olds to 15-year-olds at this clinic.
Like it's even a little aggressive for the 15-year-olds. I mean, all the 8-year-olds are just like, oh.
I mean, I was like, what is that word?
Can't even spell basketball.
I can't even spell the F word at that point. So yeah, that's my Bobby Knight story.
I like that story.
I just love Bobby Knight.
Nice.
Anyway, quick update for everybody.
Quick update.
We're recording this the week of something pretty big for you. If you want to fill the people in.
Yeah. So I have my back surgery scheduled for this Friday, as we're recording.
Yeah.
And everything should go well. It is supposed to be a relatively simple procedure. I like my surgeon. We've gone back and forth on the best, procedures. We've got people coming in to make sure that I don't get too drugged up and get taken care of.
Yeah.
But
i.e. mom.
this very long kind of injury cycle, I think, is coming to an end.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to not be in pain 24 hours a day.
I'm excited
that would be
for that
dope.
for you as well.
And it's interesting because I am a little scared. I've never gone under the knife like this.
Yeah.
I had wisdom teeth out whenever I was 13 or whatever, but that's like they kind of gas you.
Yeah. Are you out when that happens?
I think it's not local. You are out, but like I don't think it's quite as extreme.
Okay.
So like for this one, it's going to be some pretty heavy anesthesia.
Yeah.
You know, they're operating early in the morning. I'll come home same day, probably.
Yeah.
And just start the recovery process, which kind of scares me more than the surgery itself, because as you know, as we've talked about before, like being physical is kind of part of my identity.
Yeah.
It's become the way that I process my emotions and how I kind of create community.
Yeah.
So I will be out of commission completely for 2 weeks. And then from then on, it will be very, very slowly building.
Yeah. And I mean, we're talking like,
And we're talking,
it could be 6 to 8 months before you're like,
ready to go.
Like at neutral.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be getting,
I'll be getting back to neutral.
Back to neutral.
It's 6 weeks. I'm allowed to reassess like where I am physically, potentially go back to the gym.
For
maybe.
sure. But you should be consulting like a physical therapist.
So I'll be going with physical
about that.
therapy.
Like,
So the people who've been listening know that I got hurt, you know, really badly.
Yeah.
You know, incapacitated.
You hurt yourself.
I hurt myself
very bad.
and was trying to kind of like power through it. Right.
Yeah. Which we've all tried.
I was trying to cowboy up.
Yeah.
And
cowboy up.
Yeah. And then
They were saying.
At the end of last year, it just became something I couldn't ignore anymore.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of where we are.
Yeah.
And that's opened up a lot of room for growth, a lot of self-examination. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited, yes, but also fearful.
Yeah. What is the number one thing you're afraid of? And what is the number one thing that you're excited about other than not being in pain?
The number one thing I am afraid of isn't even like, you know, they walk you through the possibilities. Like if something goes really wrong, I will be paralyzed.
Yeah.
That's the like,
but that's
worst
like
thing that could possibly happen.
0.00001.
And then there's the other little things like, you know, you could get MRSA, you could get
what is MRSA?
It's like it's an infection.
Okay.
You know, things could go badly that way. Like your spinal fluid could leak. Like there are other risks involved, but for whatever reason, I'm just not that worried about it.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, what I'm worried about the most is that it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that, you know, I get the surgery and it doesn't fix it, you know? So that's my biggest worry is that after all of this, after going through it, after making lifestyle changes to accommodate this, you know, making job changes, that I'm still in pain.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest worry. The thing I'm most excited about is for the first time in my life, I will be forced to step away from the thing that I've used to kind of define my life in a lot of ways, both good and bad, right? You know, I think I probably stepped in the gym for the first time when I was like 12.
Yeah. Well, that was like part of our rites of passage.
Part of the rites of passage,
because dad works out a lot. He
set a good, healthy example.
Yeah. And I mean, he built a gym
in our home.
Next to their bedroom.
Yeah, exactly.
In our house. And like, the thing, it was a real thing of like you weren't allowed in the gym until you were 12. But then on your 12th birthday, he was like,
all right, let's work out.
Bring you in the gym and show you like simple lifts to do. So that's that's when you started lifting.
That's when I started lifting. Yeah. And I really did just kind of fall in love with that process of zoning out, like putting everything else in your life away and focusing inward, really, really being in your body. That was the first time I really think I ever felt like I was part of myself.
Yeah.
And that's a weird way to say that, but you spend so much time just kind of like flying around, doing this, doing that, not really thinking about, you know, what your body's doing.
Yeah.
And I really remember being able to center in. And then you add in like spending time with dad. Yeah. Which is, you know, the ultimate goal anyway. Yeah. Especially at that age.
Yeah.
And you're doing this thing that's like special and like cool. And man, like I don't know about you, but I always wanted to be big and strong.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, like dad, especially back then, was a bigger, muscular guy.
Absolutely.
And then, I mean, I remember you got muscular really quick.
Really quick, yeah.
Me want to be muscular, which I didn't like lifting weights until I was like a freshman in college. Yeah. So like I didn't fall in love with it.
But you did. Unlike me, like I was looking back and I never liked sports. Like I was never never drawn to that.
I like sports and
who knows? I was also never good at sports.
Well, you were very good at football, but
what I liked the most about football was the weight room. Yeah. Like that was where I excelled is, you know, whatever it is about me and like, I can take the pain. I can like, I enjoy that masochistic aspect of it. Like I want to lift more weight. I want to run faster. I want to push my body to those limits. Yeah. So that was a really good way to do that.
right up until it wasn't.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. So everything going in, I'm just like, I'm in this place of, I know that I'm going to lose some of what I built. And I am terrified of that.
And do you think, are you going to view it as, is this an opportunity for renovation? Like,
I'm trying
same
to look at it that
foundation,
way.
like when you renovate a house, same foundation, but we're going to go in and like enhance the guts of it and repaint some things and make some new adjustments that modernize it? Or is it like a blank slate? Like, get rid of the old painting. It's a blank thing. We're starting from scratch. Like, which one do you think it's going to be?
I'm curious to see because I think it's going to depend a little bit on the mental and emotional journey as well.
Yeah.
I may come out of this and be like, I'm never going to touch a weight again.
Yeah. You're going to be the
doubt it.
mobility.
Lord, no.
Mr. Mobility.
I'll let Bray take care of that.
At Knees Over Bros.
At Knees Over Bros. What I am excited about is because I will be in that position of like, bro, you can't touch a weight. You're not allowed.
Yeah.
And if I want my back to truly heal and ever go back to like healthy and strong, I will have to rebuild my foundation. Yeah. So to answer your question, I think I am going to go in and try and at least bolster it. Yeah. Like go into the basement and take everything out and just be like completely clean slate. What am I lacking? Where am I immobile? What am I doing that is blocking, that's causing these types of things? Because I injured my back in December of 2021.
Yeah.
So for a year, I was just trying to like throw everything at it and fix it, and nothing really did. So I think that this is an opportunity for my body, like return back to baseline.
Yeah.
Get back in touch with how it moves, like what's going on, and fix some bad patterns.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
And I think that, I was listening to something, somebody was talking about how, you can't fix an internal problem with an external solution. You can't think your way out of an emotional problem.
Yeah.
And, recent events have revealed to me at least that I have a lot of emotional shit that I have not siphoned through.
Yeah.
Rather than process it, I have buried it.
Yeah.
And I think this is a really good opportunity to reflect and try and feel my way through some of these things.
Yeah.
Whenever they, you're getting ready for the surgery, they give you a lot of calls and they're like, hey, so just so you know, you are allowed to walk and stand, walk, and lay down. You can't sit.
Yeah.
And you can't lift weights. And you can't do anything intense for like 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, you get to like walk more, but still no like exercise. And then after 6 weeks, you can kind of reestablish. So I see a lot of meditation in my future.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Really like learning how to actually do it.
Do you think you're going to have to budget for some days that you're just like, screw everything. This sucks. I need to I just don't think anyone's 10 for 10 when it comes to.
I'm going to, if I'm aiming for like half.
Yeah. But that's realistic. I feel like so many people in your situation, like just in situations where bad is coming, where it's about to be hard. Cause there's sometimes where you don't,
you have no idea.
Coming. When you see hard coming, people tend to be like, well, I'm going to handle it. And I think they start to believe they're just going to go 10 for 10 on. Like, I feel like you have to budget like once a week. I'm just going to be mad. I'm just going to not meditate. I'm going to complain. And it's
I'm allowing myself a little bit of not self-pity, but very like you're saying, like I'm going to let myself be angry.
Back to feeling your emotions. Yeah. It's going to,
when it comes up, I'm going to let it happen.
Yeah.
And the things I'm going to have to do that are hard are asking for help and then letting people help.
Yeah.
That's going to be so hard.
Yeah. Well, good thing Mom will be here because she'll just make you let her help.
Yeah.
And I'll help where I can as well.
Yeah. I'm excited.
So I'm excited you're getting taken care of. We did also want to touch on in our last episode with Ali Vershapisha.
Allison Vodovich.
Ali, we love you so much. Ali Woe.
Yeah.
Her past with eating disorder came up and we were both honest about like our own struggles with body dysmorphia, with anorexia and whatever. And we wanted to take a little bit of time just to sort of also dive into
our own struggles,
our own struggles, but like the
cultural component of it
and like the male specific, like body dysmorphic stuff. And so what about, because growing up, I perceived you as like incredibly strong, incredibly ripped. Like I very much, especially as the chubbier brother, like I viewed you as like, Seth is what being healthy and strong and fit looks like. But meanwhile, you were having your own, like I just thought Seth has every reason to be confident in the way he looks because he looks amazing. Meanwhile,
and there was definitely a turning point because I would even say up through freshman year of high school.
Yeah.
I was healthy and strong.
Yeah.
And
Emily Melton was like, yum, yum, yum.
I'll try and find like a picture of like my freshman high school, my high school freshman
Fraser
picture.
was like, yum, yum, yum. I'm sorry.
I'll find my high school freshman picture and then like the following year.
Yeah.
Just so y'all can see like what happened. And I really did want to be healthy.
Yeah.
And it started kind of as that is I want to be healthy. I want to be strong. I want to, I had it in my head already that I wanted to be like an actor and I wanted to like look good. And that was the things I was seeing and reading, you know, Men's Health magazines and these things you as a younger person are seeing fully grown men and what that looks like.
30-year-old men.
As well as men who are potentially using
steroids.
Substance. And but that's kind of what your goal is. That's kind of where you're aiming.
Yeah.
And as
your eyes are being put on a very specific look.
Right. So again, what started as like a healthy habit became obsession.
Yeah.
And
well, you had also started cooking too, and you were really good at it.
So there were a couple things happening in tandem. This is where I am going to protect some people, but there were things happening that were causing me a lot of stress, let's say. And I felt completely out of control of my life. I felt like I couldn't be the person I was supposed to be. I felt like I didn't have any choice in what was happening. I didn't know what my future was going to look like, and I didn't really want it. I didn't want the one that looked like I didn't have a choice in.
Yeah.
As well as I couldn't control these very important things. And I just felt so abandoned and lost and, you know, by God, by the world, by everybody. And the only thing I could control was my food.
Yeah.
And working out, because like this thing happens where working out is your release, but then it starts controlling you, and your food gives you that dope. Like we were talking about with Allison, you get this dopamine hit and it becomes your reward system.
Yeah. And
I started this really unhealthy cycle of food restriction. Only certain foods were safe. I could only eat a certain amount of those foods. And for a while, it really was just this anorexia nervosa where I was over exercising and under eating.
Yeah.
Eventually that got bad enough. And I started to turn the corner that a lot of people turn, where that obsession turns into this like negative self-talk. And I actually remember always disliking my body and myself. You know, it's funny to hear you say that you looked at me as like confident.
Still do, by the way.
Yeah. And you know, it's a process. I'm growing, I'm learning. But I remember never feeling good enough and always thinking that I didn't deserve anything.
Yeah.
And so what started happening is I started looking in the mirror and saying, you don't deserve to eat. You know, you don't deserve to live. Why don't you just disappear? And I remember getting in this really weird cycle where I would go days without eating.
Yeah.
And
what was weird was I was the only one who knew.
And I think mom and dad recognized it. They just didn't know. Like they would ask if I was okay and I would lie.
Yeah.
Because I was scared. You know how the people who love you just push them away and won't let them help you.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
And so, I would push away food for so long that I got to a point where I would break and I would eat everything I could as fast as I could.
Yeah. Because you were starving.
Because I was starving. And then I would throw up.
Yeah.
And I would make myself throw up because I didn't deserve it. And I didn't deserve to have nutrition. I didn't deserve to be on this planet. I didn't deserve to be human. I didn't deserve to have needs or feel feelings. And like Allison was saying, I would throw up so violently that I would break blood vessels in my eyes.
Yeah.
And have to lie about, what happened. So I look back at that kid and I'm so heartbroken for him. The good that came of that is my, food saved me in a way. I started watching Food Network. I started learning about nutrition.
Yeah, Anthony Bourdain,
became a big hero of mine. And that alternate view of reality where this thing wasn't a reward. It was this beautiful thread that tied all of humanity together. And I went through that thing that a lot of us go through who have like an anorexic mindset or go bulimic. We don't want people to touch us.
Yeah.
We're so uncomfortable in our skin. I was so uncomfortable in my skin. I can't speak for other people, but I was so uncomfortable with who I was. I didn't want anybody to touch me.
Yeah.
Cause I felt like it just made me like jump out of my body. And I knew that if they touched me, they could tell like how frail I was.
Yeah.
So the only way I could show affection was by making food for somebody.
Yeah.
And I remember that like I had this thought that like even if this kills me, I can save somebody.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that I love you even if I don't love myself.
Love you, big brother.
So I learned how to cook and
taught yourself how to
taught myself how to cook. And thank God our parents let me bang around in the kitchen.
Yeah. I mean, like, Mom's a good cook.
Mom's a good cook, man. And she's a really good cook.
And loves to cook, but
she just let me.
The first time you made a meal for us, it was supposed to be the special, well, it was a special thing, but it was clearly supposed to be Seth cooked a meal for us, and then the next day you made another meal. And then it went from this like special occasion to Seth is just who cooks now. And it was, dude, when you left for college, it was weird. Like, I mean, not that the food got worse. Well, it got different.
It changed.
I mean, but like you would make us like creative.
Yeah.
Not Michelin because that stuff's BS, but like
I would try new things.
Creative, crafted like scratch kitchen meals every single night. Yeah, and it was very delicious, and it was amazing.
Do you remember the time that I tried to make tomato soup?
Well, that was the first time you cooked.
Yeah, that was like early on. I still have the scars to prove it.
Yeah,
I was trying to make this tomato soup, and it required blending it up, and I didn't have an immersion blender, so you put it in the blender, which is a thing you can do.
Yeah.
What I didn't know and now do is that you take the top off and use a towel so that the steam doesn't blow the top off.
Yeah.
Didn't know that, so I put this scorching hot tomato soup in the blender, press go, and just this red hot magma explodes all over the kitchen and me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is supposed to be special. Like I feel so bad and it's all over me and I don't notice. So I'm just like frantically cleaning the cabinet. I'm like, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
And I take my shirt off and I've got this like giant blister on my shoulder.
Like oils on your shoulder.
And I've got like a blister on my face. And the best part of that is that we were going to camp the next week.
In the
summer where the main activity is like swimming.
Yeah.
And
being outside.
And they were like, hey, don't swim because you will get infected.
Yeah.
And I was like, great.
I'm going to read a book.
I'm just going to read a book. My skinny ass is just going to read a book. Yeah. So any questions that come from that? I know that was a weird little dive there.
No, I love that dive. And I mean, I know all this stuff.
I know.
I still love diving into it with you. And I feel like we both, when Allie talked on that episode, all three of us were like, we should talk about this because this is talked about enough. But you and I had a moment of like,
this actually could be helpful for somebody.
This is helpful for somebody. And the conversation about body dysmorphia and workout addiction and food disorders is often talked about with women or people who identify with women, girls. And I get that because it is more common. The relationship with body and food and women is oftentimes disordered or it's common to talk about that and for that to be a problem among guys and among men. It's still happening, but it's almost like we're just not going to talk about it because
and you're judged much more harshly. Like, like I don't know what would have happened if any of my high school friends would have known what was going on.
Yeah. Well, then, I mean, they would have made fun of you.
They would have made fun of me, right?
One, because I think, especially when we're younger, it's like it's viewed as like you're viewed as weak if you're insecure about your body as a guy. Like,
it's all braggadocio and like I'm strong, I'm big, all these things.
Yeah, anything other than cocky is just like insecure and weak. I mean,
honestly, and I was never that guy anyway.
Yeah,
so it was already like I was already set up to be made fun of.
What I think culturally, you know, we're culturally, like our parents never say, no one ever says this, but I do think culturally it's almost told to us eating disorders are for women. Yeah. So then we get like when a guy gets disordered eating or starts to develop a really unhealthy relationship with food, they don't know who to talk to, or they start to almost think it's not a problem because it's a girl problem, not a guy problem. But
so then you feel like you're not allowed to have it. So you hide it.
So you hide it, which makes it
create more
worse.
shame.
As with any addiction or problem, when you hide it, it doesn't get better. It just gets worse.
And I think there is a level of body dysmorphia in the male community, regardless. Like our superheroes, right? Like. I wanted to be Batman. You know, like we look at sports people, athletes. Yeah. These are the people we idolize and look up to.
Well, and it's the people that a lot of women idolize. Right. We, you know, back to it's just a difference. I don't think it's a problem, but it's a difference.
It is a difference.
As men, culturally, we're raised, all women are beautiful. Tell them they're like, and they are. I mean, women are beautiful.
And that's how we were raised.
As men, we're raised with this like, oh my gosh, look at George Clooney, he's so hot. Or, oh my gosh, look at this one person, he's hot.
And like, if you aren't over 6 feet tall, if you don't have a chiseled jawline, if you don't have a full head of hair, if you don't have a six pack,
if your shirt doesn't fit perfectly, you're not, it's like with guys, we're culturally told like, you're either top 1% hot or you're nothing. It's
that's really unfortunate.
And so then you've got all these guys that are trying to attain a physical form. Right. That's pretty much unattainable unless you're on steroids, visiting a doctor, don't have a job.
Yeah. That's why we get so angry at the people who do use steroids and lie about it is you are setting an unrealistic, unattainable example. And that's okay if you're honest about it. Like nobody looks at a bodybuilder and goes, well, that. Obviously, I can get there.
And again, most women are like, gross. Bodybuilders are for dudes.
Bodybuilders are for dudes. Yeah. Bodybuilders are for themselves.
And that community.
And you know what? I'm not going to like knock them. That's like that's their pursuit. They like that. That's what makes them happy. That's awesome. But it does cause problems. And so like, I'm curious as somebody who developed a disordered eating pattern, who did and still has like some pretty intense body image issues, talking to somebody with a relatively normal perspective. What is your take on this?
Well, part of the reason I want to dive into it is like, I also think guys listening will think, well, like I didn't have as extreme of a period of time as Seth did, but like I've had my, like in high school, and then, I mean, please, I'm about to say some stuff. Please. None of this is your fault. Yeah. And I know you know that, but I need you to hear me say it. While this was happening with you, my friends' sisters, older sisters, were telling me how hot you were. And then
the heroin look was really in.
Well, dude, you were a good looking dude. Like it's kind of, I remember a friend telling me everyone's fighting a battle you don't know about. You know, all that's happening internally. You're looking in the mirror and saying those things.
Right. Like I can't even recognize that could be a reality because I'm stuck in this
because that was reality too.
Right.
But like all of my friends' older sisters were telling me how hot my brother was.
Right.
And I'm, 10 years old.
Right.
So growing up with that, my first real homecoming date, who shall not be named, with it, like, homecoming, you give the garter, then you meet at the game, you sit at the game together, hold hands, whatever. I'm in 6th grade, she was in 8th grade. So in my head, I'm like, oh wow, I'm doing great.
Nailing it.
A few minutes into the game, she felt it was appropriate to tell me that she wished she was with my brother, not me. And she spent the whole game looking at you in the high school section.
I'm so sorry.
Dude, that's not your fault. I don't care about any of this, but as I'm in a formulating age period, it definitely formed in me like I have to look like my brother for girls to like me.
Luckily, we're related.
Not to like myself, but literally like it did start to form like my brother's the hot one. I'm the like, because then I'm also going to class in classes where you had teachers and being told how smart you were.
Right.
So it's like with girls, I'm not my brother. With teachers, I'm not my brother. So I'm growing up with this very like, okay, I'm not good looking like my brother. I'm not smart like my brother. So I guess I'm good at baseball and funny. Like, so I started to double down on those things, like being the class clown and not caring about school because Seth was good at school. So, but in the body image realm, like I was always a little bit tubbier. Like I just always had more body fat on me. But as I got older, some weird body dysmorphia started happening where like I would legit think I had two chins. Like I would feel like there was a double chin, like my neck was bigger, or I'd be driving and I'd be like grabbing my stomach, like pinching my belly fat because I thought it was like oozing over my belt, or like I would wear pants and I would sit with my arms crossed like this because I thought that my stomach was like and that's a minor, like these are all minor things,
right? But to your point, I hated my face, specifically my cheeks. Yeah. And so I would suck my cheeks in and bite them on the inside. So it didn't look like I had a baby face.
Yeah.
Because some girl in like freshman turned around and was like, man, your face is weird. Like most people have like cheekbones and you just have just like a big old cheek.
Who says that?
I remember, I'm not going to say it, but I remember, and it wasn't said like meanly.
No, it was an observation.
And I was like, well,
like, okay, I guess I'll change that.
And dude, like the pinching the stomach fat.
Yeah. And I still do that.
I still do it
to this day. Yeah. Like I'll be driving and I find myself like pinching that. And so I tell that to like, there's a spectrum.
There's a spectrum here.
There are guys that are like seriously struggling, like, like with some similar stuff that you've had. But then there's like
there's a comparison thing,
a comparison thing. And then senior year of high school, I started like doing CrossFit by myself, starving myself because I wanted to have a six pack.
I remember whenever you shifted,
I wanted to go to college because I had never been a lift weights guy. Like I didn't like working out very much.
No, you started doing P90X and like CrossFit stuff.
Yeah, I would do Sean T
cardio abs. Yeah.
Every morning.
Yeah.
Every morning, senior year. And then I would do P90X yoga 3 times a week. And I was doing CrossFit workouts without a coach you
were just pulling wads off
the internet and like doing those twice a day. And all I wanted was a six pack because
that's the thing.
That was the thing. Every guy that a girl says is hot has this. It was just, bare minimum has a six pack, much less is also over 6 feet tall.
Right.
I was also, because senior year, I went on a date with a girl in college in Lubbock, and it was a
See, I don't know about you guys, but all I'm hearing is Gunner continuously outbatting his coverage.
Well, I'm married to a very hot woman now, so I am, but like, blind date. She only saw a picture of me.
Okay, yeah.
And this was first semester, senior year of high school.
Yeah.
When I went to pick her up with our friends, the first words out of her mouth were, "You're shorter than I thought you were." Then she proceeded to only talk to other guys at this party that were over 6 feet tall. It didn't help that we were at a Texas Tech football player party.
Right.
But like it doubles down on like, clearly I will never be good enough or like good looking enough unless I look like my brother, unless I have a six pack. Yeah. So it created this unhealthy relationship with my body as far as like, I'm trying to get a thing that if I just read objectively is actually pretty hard to attain. It does take kind of a right mix of genetics, of diet that works for you, of all these things. And so like I spent a lot of like my later teenage years and early 20s, like yearning for a six pack. Like I just wanted a six pack.
Yeah.
And never, like, I wasn't comfortable with my shirt off. I wasn't comfortable working out in front of other people. Like I wasn't really comfortable around girls either. Cause it was just like, I'm not Chris Evans. I'm not any of the Chris.
It is interesting to hear the not comfortable around girls part because from the other side, right?
Yeah.
Everybody lives in their own reality. You are in one. Like that is your subjective reality is what
all the things I just said
are
shaped
true.
My perspective
and shaped your perspective. Yeah. And that's like your experience is absolutely true. And
yeah.
it is, but it is funny to look at a different perspective because from the outside, right? I wished I was you.
Yeah.
you were popular. You were funny as hell. You seemed happy. Like you were athletic. Every single coach I ever had, ever, would look at me and say, I just can't wait to get your brother. He's so athletic. And it was almost always after I like fumbled the ball.
We really shouldn't have gone to a small school.
Like, honestly,
small school, this doesn't happen.
I remember one coach looked at me and goes, man, I wish you were your brother.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, multiple teachers and theater teachers told me that. So, Miss S, I won't use her name.
Sure.
Miss S. Sophomore year. So you saw me I wanted to act like you. I thought like you being an actor was the coolest thing ever.
It's my favorite thing.
And I love sports too. Like I would have done just as many.
Yeah.
But freshman year I did fall play because small school you have the fall play.
Fall play and
I could never do one act because of baseball.
Right. So fall play. And you did that was
I played flute and it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Because I was playing an actor in a play and then I played an actor that got cast as a girl.
Yeah.
So like I was cross-dressing before TikTok made it cool.
Right.
And it was a hit. It was so much. And I
By the
loved
way,
it.
Gunnar is a fantastic actor. I've seen him act several times. He is better than me by far.
That's not true. I'm fantastic at playing an abbreviated version of myself.
That's
not acting.
I mean,
I'm good at performing.
There you go.
You're good at acting.
Fair. I'll give you that.
There you go. Thank you. But the next year, and like that was a pretty big part, and I was really excited to like have a bigger part, like
move up the ranks like you do.
The next year, I got like a crappy part, and like I was butthurt. I was I thought that this kind of built on like
I thought I
had kind of a proving time,
and that's a mind F because like you go into it and you're like, well, I proved myself, so now I get the thing, and unfortunately in acting, that's not how it works
for sure. No one
like
told me.
100%.
What I was told because I just asked like, why did I get? And maybe I shouldn't have asked.
Sure.
But I was just curious, like, why did I get this part versus maybe some of these other parts?
Right.
And Miss S looked at me and said, because you're not your brother.
Whoa.
And then I quit theater.
Wow. I would have too.
And honestly, I quit because I've been told my whole life by girls, you're not your brother. By teachers, you're not your brother.
Well, and again, on the outside, I never dated. Like I had like one or two little flings, but I still don't think I'm very good with women. And you always had a girlfriend or like we're always dating. You never had any girl trouble at all.
My false confidence made me look better than I actually am.
Again, out from the outside in, it didn't seem like you had any problems there. And I was always envious of that.
When you were in the dating around age, you were dealing with some shit. So
very true.
Anyway.
Yeah. Nobody wants to date a 100-pound weakling. Yeah.
Even to this day. Yeah. But we're talking about all this. Clearly, I believe, especially the gym we go to.
Yeah, the gym we go to.
If we said every single guy in here right now, at least, and that was probably at any given moment,
exceptions,
15 guys would come outside, and I would just ask, how many of y'all are insecure about your body?
Every single
guy
raise their hand.
But that's weird.
And like of those 15, 10 of them would be ripped to shreds, like
ripped to shreds, like strong, like
have good jobs.
And
the gym we go to is like a gym of Spartan warriors.
Yeah,
it's actually
really
pretty insane.
But I think go to any gym, ask any guy, do you like your body?
Right.
Do you treat your body well?
Yeah. Are you kind to your body?
Because clearly what happens with men and women, when we don't like our bodies, we actually don't treat it well.
No.
When people don't like their body, they starve themselves. They get into a cycle of gluttonous eating and then purging. You fall into some sort of disordered eating, or you're so uncomfortable in your own body that people can't touch you. Mm-hmm. And you've experienced it. To not be touched or want to be touched by another person is so lonely. Like,
and it's so weird.
The joy you can get from an intimate, like warm touch from another person, and imagining like that's actually the worst thing. Like someone touching you is the worst thing you can think of because you hate yourself.
It's like fire. It's so weird.
So if you're a dude,
if you're
a woman as well, but we did that call out last episode. If you're a guy, like, do what you need to do to appreciate your body.
If you are a man and you are struggling with body image and you are finding it hard to be kind to yourself and give your body what it needs, and sometimes that is tough love. Sometimes that is being honest and saying, I could probably eat less cake or drink fewer beers. And sometimes that's saying, I could probably eat more cake. Like
sometimes that's saying, I should probably not work out today.
And that's really hard. Yeah. So if you're a dude and you're struggling with things like this, it's okay. We do too.
We see you. We know. We love you. We know what it feels like.
We know what it feels like. And if you want to have a conversation, we're always here. Seth will always respond to Texish Instagrams.
I will always give my input if I can. I've been blocked off the Instagram page because I forget the password every time.
That's not true at all. That is a lie. I've offered to give you the password.
You haven't given me the password.
You keep saying you don't want it because you delete Instagram off your phone and use it as a distraction.
Then send me the password so we can argue about this.
I would love it.
And you're also beautiful.
Thank you.
And you have every reason to appreciate your body.
Gunnar, you are a god
Don't
among
over
men.
compliment me. Like, don't just if you're gonna give me a compliment, equal what I just said. Don't one up me.
All right. You are a handsome man, and your body is capable of amazing things, as proven by your 100-mile race.
Marine number 3, baby.
Marine number 3.
You gotta love a call back. Bye y'all.